Welcome everyone, this is Mindy Eggen for Honeybee Stamps, and in today's video I'm going to be creating this clean and simple card using the Let It Snow stamp set, and we are going to layer up our snowflake images. Here is a look at that 6x8 stamp set. It has a nice variety of snowflakes and beautiful sentiments along with some coordinating dies. So I'm going to start out by stamping out a bunch of these snowflakes from this stamp set. I have Hammermill Cardstock here, and I'm going to ink up all of my snowflakes in pink lemonade ink. So if you have a light pink on hand that you could stamp this with in case you don't have pink lemonade, which I'm using from Concord and Ninth, I am going to stamp it again one more time to make sure that my images are nice and crisp. I'm going to bring in another sheet of cardstock, and this time I'm stamping all of the images in poppy ink. So this is a really bright Christmas red that I think is going to layer together beautifully with that pink lemonade. Now that both of my panels are stamped, I'm going to take the coordinating die and I'm going to line it up over each of the snowflakes. I'll hold these down with some low tack tape and run that through my die cut machine. So I started with the light pink and then I'll do the red ones as well. And by stamping out all of those snowflakes at once, I created a huge variety here. I won't be using all of them, of course, but I am going to save them for future cards. To work on my background, I'm taking the pierced Fancy Flakes die and I'm cutting that out of white cardstock. And then I'm taking a circle die and I'm going to die cut that out of that pierced panel. Now, originally I had planned on using the positive piece where most of the piercing would be on there, but I decided to go with just that circle piece. So only the circle piece is going to have that pierced stitching on there. The other panel I have is just a plain white sheet of cardstock. I'll then start building up my snowflakes. So I started with all red, but then I grabbed the middle piece, or the medium snowflake, is going to be in that light pink, and I'm offsetting them so that my entire piece is like this huge medallion that's going to be sitting on that circle piece I die cut. For the rest of the background, I cut out strips of cardstock and I'm going to align them diagonally across the front of my A2 panel here. This is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The cardstock colors I'm using are from Concord and Ninth. They are pink lemonade, poppy, Tidepool, and Juniper, and I'm just attaching them with a tape runner. Then for my snowflakes, to give them a little bit more dimension and kind of definition in between the layers, I'm going to put some thin foam squares behind my middle snowflake, so it's the medium-sized one. Here I'm just going to offset it, so it's going to fill in nicely. And then for the smaller one, I'm also putting those thin foam squares on the back, and I'm going to align my points try and align them in a straight line. I also added some regular thickness foam squares to the back of this, and I'm going to pop that up on that circle piece that I had die cut out previously. I almost forgot that I needed to go back to my card panel and trim off the excess that I had of my colored cardstock strips. Now, I did also trim that panel down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I'm bringing that in to my Misti stamping tool, and I'm aligning everything where I want it to go on the front of the card. I'll then remove my snowflake piece so that I can stamp down this sentiment, and I'm just going to use Intense Black ink from Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to give this panel a little bit of dimension by adding some thin foam strips behind this, and these are pretty thin. You really could get away with just adding a piece of cardstock or two behind this panel. It really doesn't have a ton of lift to it, but just enough to separate it from my main panel here. So I have a card front that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then my panel with the stripes on it is going to be 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I also took some of that thin foam strips, added it behind my circle piece, and adding that right in the center over my stripes. I'll then just slightly embellish this with my winter pearls mix. So these I think are just the white pearls. I added a medium-sized one to the center, and then I thought it would be really cool to take the smaller sized pearls and add them to the very ends of the largest snowflake. So this is a really clean and simple design. I think it would be great to mass produce these because you could cut up strips of cardstock really easy. And I also have a bunch of other snowflakes that I could layer together to make more cards. I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. Thanks so much for joining me.